Welcome to Tryptic Horror. 3 started. Only 1 will be allowed to remain. 2 will be unmade, as cleanly as if they had never been written. 3 started. Only 1 will be allowed to remain. 2 will be unmade, as cleanly as if they had never been written. This is Tryptic Horror. Tryptic Season 0, Episode 5. The Nothing People. 3 panels from the Age of Residue. Panel 1. The Comedy. Year 40,000 CE, approx. The Age of Residue, middle period, in which an archivist attempts documentation. Archival Fragment. Intercivilizational Survey, Volume 7441. The following account was commissioned by the Bureau of Philosophical Cartography as part of a standard decennial survey of extant traditions. The assigned archivist, one Mereveth Olan, submitted the below in lieu of the requested 15-page summary. Her cover letter stated only, "I tried." The first thing you learn about the Nothing People is that they do not exist. This is not a metaphysical claim. It is an administrative one. Their central institution has no charter because charters imply purpose, and purpose implies direction, and direction implies an arrival point. And arrival points imply that somewhere a destination has been decided upon, which the Nothing People regard as frankly presumptuous. Their Department of Conceptual Hygiene operates out of 17 locations across 4-star systems and employs approximately 9,000 people, none of whom are employed there. I spent 11 days attempting to file a documentary access request with their Outer Worlds reception office. The receptionist, a pleasant man named Dorev, explained on each occasion that there was no one authorized to grant access, since authorizing access would imply the existence of something to access, at which point I asked whether I could speak with whoever was not authorized to grant access, and he said he would check. He always seemed surprised when I came back the next day. The Nothing People are the oldest continuous tradition in the surveyed worlds. This is embarrassing to them. Longevity implies continuity. Continuity implies identity. Identity implies the kind of persistent selfhood they have spent 40 centuries trying to release. When pressed on the contradiction, their senior archivists, officially their most experienced people who definitely are not archivists, explain that they have survived not through intention, but through a kind of philosophical slipperiness that made them difficult to eradicate. Every empire that tried to absorb them found nothing coherent to absorb. Every ideology that tried to refute them found no fixed position to refute. Every religion that tried to convert them discovered the conversation had somehow become a seminar on the nature of conversion itself, at which point the missionary usually needed to sit down. They have outlasted the integrals, the continuants, the witnesses, the quantum mystics, the singularity churches, and 47 other traditions whose names have faded to footnotes. They have done this, as far as I can determine, entirely by accident. The cardinal sins of nothing are not officially acknowledged. Unofficially, everyone knows there are 3, though no authoritative text names them, and the third has never been successfully written down without the document later becoming inconsistent. The first sin is attachment, not to things, to being. A nothing person is expected to hold themselves lightly, to remember that identity is provisional, selfhood temporary, the sense of continuous existence a useful story that should never be confused for a fact. Most practitioners fail at this. The Nothing People are remarkably understanding about failure, being themselves a tradition built largely from it. The second sin is certainty. Anyone who becomes completely sure of anything has drifted too far into something. This includes being certain about nothing. The Nothing People have excommunicated. Officially, they do not excommunicate. 712 people in their history for the sin of being certain that nothing was real. The irony is not lost on them. They have 3 separate schismatic factions devoted entirely to debating whether it should be. The third sin is never named. The surviving texts refer to it only as the sin which is easier to commit once it has been explained, which is not helpful, and which has led several junior scholars to conclude that the third sin is simply the act of explaining the third sin, a position the senior archivists neither confirm nor deny, while somehow making you feel the conversation is over. On my 9th day, I was permitted, unofficially, by someone who was not authorized to permit anything, to visit the lower archive. This required passing through 4 chambers, each emptier than the last. The final chamber contained no furniture, no windows, and no light source I could identify. It was not dark. It was simply a room in which darkness felt unnecessary. At the center was a pedestal. On the pedestal was a plaque. I read it. I wrote down what I read. When I returned to my quarters and opened my notebook, the page was blank. I have no memory of what it said, but I remember very clearly the feeling of having understood something, briefly, in the way you understand the punchline of a joke told in a language you don't speak. The comprehension arrives, complete and whole, and then the language closes around it again, and it is gone. I asked Dorev about the plaque the next morning. He said no such chamber existed. Then he paused and said that if it did exist, the plaque had been there since the founding, since the non-founding, and that no 2 visitors had ever reported reading the same thing. I asked him what he thought it said. He smiled the way people smile when they have made a decision about something a very long time ago and are no longer troubled by it. "I haven't been down there," he said. "I'm not sure I want to know." In the sub-basement of the outer archive, a location that does not exist in a filing system that has not been officially maintained since the 3rd millennium, there is a row of plaques along a wall. Each bears a date. Nothing else. No names. No accomplishments. No epitaphs. Just dates, stretching back further than the tradition officially claims to exist. When I asked what the dates meant, the junior archivist, who was not showing me around, said they marked the people who had succeeded. "Succeeded at what?" I asked. She looked at the wall for a long moment. Then she said, "At the work." I wrote this down. When I reviewed my notes that evening, I found the exchange recorded, but I could not remember her face. I could not remember anything about her except that she had been present, and then I had been alone in a corridor, and outside the one small window, the stars were doing what stars do, which is to say, burning themselves toward nothing with great patience and no particular hurry. This is my report. I am told it is not sufficient. I suspect that is correct. I am also increasingly unsure that sufficient was ever an available option here. Monsieur Olan, filed under incomplete, refer to secondary review. Panel 2, The Unravelling, year 200,000 CE, approx. The age of residue, late period, in which a department agent files a report. Department of Conceptual Hygiene, internal memorandum, classification, urgent. The following report was submitted by Senior Field Agent Cassiva Yeln following an investigative assignment to the Outer Worlds. It is reproduced here in full. Several passages have become difficult to verify against their source materials. This is noted where relevant. The profits are falling quiet. I want to be precise about this because precision matters here more than it has ever mattered in my 22 years with the department. They are not dying. They are not losing their ability in any mechanical sense, the way an instrument detunes or a lens clouds. They are becoming quieter in themselves, less insistent. The work is still being done, approximately. But when I read their recent reports, I find the sentences becoming shorter, not because they have less to say, but because they seem to require less in the way of saying. Senior Prophet Oret filed 4 pages last cycle. The cycle before, 14. The cycle before that, she was our most voluminous correspondent. She is not distressed by this. I visited her at the outer station on Verath, and she made tea, and we sat for a long time, and she seemed entirely well. When I asked about the reports, she said the work felt easier lately. When I asked what she meant by easier, she thought about it carefully and said, quieter. She did not seem to find this alarming. That is what alarms me. Let me explain what a prophet does, for the record, since I am apparently filing this for people who have forgotten, or who were never told, or who have become, for reasons I will address shortly, unable to locate the relevant briefing materials. A nothing prophet, we do not call them prophets, is someone with a particular sensitivity to conceptual weight. They can feel when an idea is becoming load-bearing in a civilization, when a story is beginning to calcify into infrastructure, when a belief is crossing the threshold from perspective into architecture, at which point it becomes invisible to the people living inside it, and therefore very dangerous indeed. They work by attending to absence, to the gaps, to what is not being said in a room, what is not being questioned in a text, what kind of silence is living underneath a civilization's loudest conversations. They are the most skilled practitioners of the nothing we have ever produced, which means they are also the most exposed. We did not consider, until recently, what would happen if they were pointing in the right direction at the wrong moment, if the gap they were attending to began attending back. I have been reviewing the tradition's records, the real ones, not the official archive, for any precedent. What I find is a pattern we should have noticed long ago. Every 500 years approximately, the rate of successful ones increases, not dramatically. A small statistical rise that was always attributed to improvements in practice, refinements in method, the compounding of multi-generational wisdom. Then the rate falls back. The tradition continues. Nothing is noted in the records as unusual. But I have been tracking backward through the dates on the wall in the lower archive, the wall that does not officially exist. And I find that each cluster of successes is followed, within a generation, by period, our historians describe as a consolidation, a quieting of expansion, a retreat from outer settlements, a simplification of doctrine. We called it consolidation. It may have been something else. It may have been loss that we absorbed so gradually we mistook it for maturity. The department has convened 3 emergency councils in the last decade. I have attended all 3. I want to describe what they feel like from the inside because I think it is relevant to whatever is happening. The first council was urgent and frightened and produced 40 recommendations and a subcommittee structure of impressive complexity. The second council reviewed the recommendations and found that 17 of them had become difficult to implement because the personnel assigned to them had either transferred to other posts or become, in the specific technical sense I am trying not to use too freely, quieter. The third council produced a document I cannot now locate. I remember being there. I remember the shape of the room. I do not remember what we decided. I wrote notes. The notebook contains dates. Just dates. Here is what I believe is happening. I'm filing this under my own authority because I have been unable to locate my supervisor and because waiting for authorization feels like exactly the wrong response to the problem I am describing. The nothing people did not discover the nothing. They made it. I cannot prove this, and I am not sure proof is a thing that applies here. But 40,000 years is a long time for billions of people to point, sincerely and devotedly and across every generation, at the same absence. Every other tradition I know of spends its strength insisting on something. We have spent ours withdrawing from the insisting. We thought we were being careful. We thought we were being humble. It does not appear that the universe distinguishes between humility and erosion. I don't know the mechanism. I don't think there is a mechanism, in the sense the continuance would mean. Something you could diagram, something with parts. There is only the long pull of a great many people leaning the same way, and the slow give of whatever they were leaning against. And now our most sensitive people, the ones most practiced at attending to nothing, are the first to feel it arrive. And it does not feel like a threat. It feels like relief, like finally putting down something heavy that you had stopped noticing you were carrying. That is what makes it so dangerous. That is why the prophets' reports are getting shorter, and nobody is distressed about it. And the councils can't find their notes, and somewhere on a wall in a basement there is a new date that wasn't there last year. I went down to the lower archive before I filed this, to the room, the pedestal, the plaque. I read it. I understand now why no two visitors ever reported the same thing. It doesn't say something different to each person. It says the same thing to everyone, but it says it in the exact language of whatever you've been carrying, in the exact voice of whoever first taught you to be afraid of losing yourself. And so each person hears a different sentence, even though the words are the same words. I am not going to write down what it says, not because I am protecting anyone, because I think writing it down might be the third sin, and I have spent 22 years in the department avoiding the third sin on pure instinct, and I intend to continue doing so for as long as I remain in a condition where intending things is still an available option. I'm filing this report. I'm requesting that someone who is not currently quieter than they were last year please read it and respond. I am going to go make tea. I am going to sit with it for a while. I'm going to insist on being here until I can't anymore, which is all any of us ever really could do, which is maybe the one true thing the nothing people spent 40,000 years accidentally proving. C. Yeln, Senior Field Agent, Department of Conceptual Hygiene. This report was received. No response was filed. The assigned review officer's personnel record ends with a date. Panel 3. After. Year indistinguishable. The records do not agree on the date in which something reads the plaque. The archive is still standing. This is not remarkable. It is stone and polymer and the kind of careful construction that assumes someone will always want to come back. What is remarkable is that it is still standing in the same way. A note held past its natural duration is still a note, technically, formally, and with increasing transparency. Something moves through the outer corridors. It is not quite walking. It is present the way a memory is present, when you are no longer sure whether you are remembering it, or whether it is remembering you. It passes through rooms that once held councils and arguments and urgent memoranda and decades of institutional anxiety about whether the nothing was a real thing or a useful fiction. The rooms are quiet. They have been quiet for a long time. The integrals are gone. The witnesses are gone. The continuants are gone too, which is the saddest of them, because the continuants believed to the end that they were going to solve it. Something persists in the shape of the spaces, the angle of corridors built by people who believed in arriving somewhere. The belief outlasted the believers. Briefly. The way a door keeps its rectangle after the house is gone. The thing that is moving, we will call it that, a thing that is moving because it would not correct us and because no other description survives its own formation, finds the stairs to the lower archive. Descends. Not in a hurry. Not in the way urgency was ever available here. In the way water finds a low place because the low place is there, and the water is there, and the word finds is a courtesy we extend to both of them. 4 chambers, each emptier than the last. The final chamber. No furniture, no windows, a quality of light that has no source and requires none. The pedestal, the plaque, the thing that is moving stops. stands before it in the manner of something that once knew how to stand and retains the form of it as a kind of courtesy to the room. It reads the plaque. For a moment, a duration no instrument the traditions ever built could have registered. Something like recognition moves through it. Not memory, not understanding. Understanding wants a self to stand outside the thing, and there is not quite enough self here for that. Something closer to, oh. The plaque says what it always said, the same sentence to everyone, in the language of whatever they carried, in the voice of whoever first taught them to be afraid of losing themselves. The thing that is moving carries nothing, has carried nothing for longer than carrying was a thing anyone did. So the sentence arrives in no voice. There is no fear in it to find. It is, for the first time, only what it says. It laughs, not because it is funny, because the nothing people were right. They spent 40,000 years pointing at this and naming it badly and building a church to it and denying the church, and they were right the whole time, and being right did not save them. And that is the joke, and it was always the joke. And there is no one left who needs it explained. The laugh stops. The thing that is moving goes up the stairs and out into whatever is outside now. Not nothing. Further that way than it was. The plaque remains. The pedestal remains. The archive remains. For now, the way a held note remains. The plaque says something. No one is left to disagree.
The plaque is fictional. What it says is fictional. What it says to you specifically is between you and whatever you have been carrying. And Static Oracle Press accepts no responsibility for the language it arrives in or the voice it chooses to use. The third sin is not named here. The third sin is not named anywhere. If you think you know what it is, you may be committing it. We are not going to elaborate on this. The nothing people were right. Being right did not save them. That is the joke. It was always the joke. We are sorry there is no one left to explain it to. The archive is still standing. The plaque says something. No one is left to disagree. 3 started, 1 remains. Do not accept placement without confirmation. Do not assume the route was assigned to you. All rights reserved by Static Oracle Press and Morgan Olson.